Okay, hello and welcome. So, this is Totally Awesome Friends of Jen,
Mhm.
and this is where I feature lovely ladies that are leading with their heart and causing a positive ripple effect into the world. And I'm very excited today to have the one, the only Shannon Hugman here with us. And hi, Shannon.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited about this because you mean a lot to me, and I don't think you realize how much. So um, I refer to you as my cosmic intuitive, and we'll get into really what you do. I love to share my first impressions of people and the impact that they make, because a lot of times we don't realize that. So I think it's nice to share. So I was referred to Shannon through a friend who had a session with you, and she was blown away, and she was telling me about it, and I was like, and I know her life, and I was like, that is amazing. And it was one of those things that I shelved for a little bit, and I like to listen to my intuition, and it whenever speaks to me and keeps coming back, and I kept on having Shannon Hugman, Shannon Hugman. I'm like, okay. What I loved about booking with you so much is you have an online system, which is so easy. You go on and you can just book and pay online. I love that. And then right from the hop, like I got on the phone with you, and you didn't see me because it wasn't visual, but my mouth was like I I was like catching flies the entire time, and I was so amazed. And when you meet the masters, when you meet the people that are doing, like, living their gifts. And, like, I get tingles right now just thinking about it. But you, as a coach, the brain works in metaphors. You are a master in metaphors. And I was just like, I was impressed, like, even professionally that way. I'm like, oh, I got to use more metaphors like this. Like, and you didn't see me as well because you hit the core of me and some points where, like, I started to cry. Both of our sessions, actually, you hit the core of me. So since our first reading, I did your Art of Astrology course. And the impact to me is I've done a lot of self-discovery work on myself. And so I've learned a lot throughout the years. And then you come along, not even knowing me, telling me all the things that I just discovered. I'm like, come on. And it was just like a little nod from the universe. And it was so impactful. And you are the catalyst for me to actually get into astrology. So I love looking into charts now, and it might be a tool that I bring in the future in my coaching practice. So there you go. So
Wow.
I know, right?
I
And
literally feel like I can't smile bigger. My cheeks are
yeah,
like so happy. Thank you so much for those words. That is like, I'm going to take a little mental snapshot and give that to myself when I'm feeling down. Thank
yeah,
you.
you're my pleasure. And this is why I do these interviews, because when I meet people that I'm like, oh yeah, like, people need to know you. People are looking exactly for what you offer, and I just want to, like, spread the word of what you do. 'Cause
Yeah, you rock. Thank
you're
you.
a master. So I am so curious all the time with people's origin stories. So you found your zone of genius. You are doing your life's work. Like, how'd you get there?
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool story. Something I've tried to run from a long time. It starts like way back when I was in elementary school, and I could guess people's birthdays. So my friends would grab kids from like other grades or kids we didn't know and put them in front of me, and I could always guess their month of birth. And I couldn't explain it, but it would literally just be like I would look at them and I would feel what I felt from them, and then I would feel, yeah, that feels like March. And they'd be like, that's my birthday. Or I'd say, yeah, that feels like September. I could never explain it. It was super weird. Freaked everybody out. I stopped doing it because everyone was scared of me. And flash forward years later to when I was in university and I was in a long distance relationship. And my partner was in Barrie and I was in Ottawa. And he was a Gemini. I didn't know what he was thinking, what was going on with him. I didn't even think about his astrology until I thought, what if I read his horoscope? What if I start reading his love horoscopes and see what's going on with him? And so it kind of hit me like a lightning bolt of, because I'm also, when I'm in a relationship, my planets, I can be pretty, I want to know everything. I like to call myself an FBI agent sometimes. I just really need to get to the bottom of everything. So in intimate relationships, it's kind of messy. So I pull up the love horoscope, start researching love horoscopes just to, again, get to the bottom of it, what he's feeling. And I ended up discovering, this was back in 2009. It was a YouTube channel of an astrologer talking about where the planets are now. So he was saying Saturn is in Virgo for the next 2 years. Jupiter just moved into Gemini. And it was like, I just understood what he was talking about. It was just a language I fully understood. And then from there, I just started participating. So this person had, there was a whole team of astrologers, and they ran a website and they ran blogs, and I just started participating. They did these little web shows I would always pop on. And really, I think astrology is a language, and the best way to learn a language is to speak it. So I was so thankful. I was in university. All my friends were out at bars, and I was like, I got to stay with California time zone. I got to stay online because all my friends were mainly based in California, the website. And I started participating. Then they quickly invited me to join their team. So then I was creating content. I was being the hostess of all the web shows. So I was doing all that stuff. And so I pretty much for about 2 years was just this in an intensive of all this energy. And then after that, people literally started asking me how much would I charge to do readings. And I was like, what? I'll do it for free. I'll do it for free. So I started charging, obviously. But at the same time, I had a business degree. So I was sticking to the path that I thought was my path, working in tax offices and government buildings and things like that. And every time I'd get a new full-time job or a new full-time contract, my astrology business would blow up and be super busy. And so I was almost trying to juggle these like 2 full-time positions. And so in 2016, one of my contracts ended, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to go full in, launch an online storefront, make, like you were saying, automate my business online. So I just sort of made a button that people can click buy, and it hasn't really ever stopped since then. And it has evolved to people asking me, where did I learn this? And again, because I've learned it, obviously it's inside of me somehow. But I feel like I have a very progressive approach to astrology, where again, it's hard to even use the word astrology. I like to talk about it as energy and an energetic awareness. Just like we're going to be aware of the rain, we want to be aware of maybe the new moon perhaps, or all sorts of different cycles, because these planets aren't doing anything to us. These currents aren't doing anything, but we can align with them, right? It's not like the rain is doing something to us, but if we go outside without our umbrella, we're going to get wet. So I'm kind of about being proactive. But anyways, I just have people telling me I have a library inside my head. I have this astro world inside my head. So the Art of Astrology Online Academy was born from that, because people, again, were just asking me, hey, where can I learn? So literally my game plan has just been whatever keeps coming up and people keep asking for, then that's what I do. So it's pretty cool to just sort of be like in the passenger seat and have something in the driver's seat.
It's amazing. And yeah, I love it. And I think, like, I've seen astrology before. I've read my horoscope, but it hasn't resonated with me until I met you. And it's the way you do it. It's progressive, and I don't know how to explain it, but the way you explain it, I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like it's it just really hits me. So yeah, I just love what you're doing, and I love that you're like seeing the need and filling it as you go along.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, because I think it's really easy to get pulled into all the stuff we are told to do, especially as like influencers or online entrepreneurs or coaches. And I think, especially the past year, I realized, wait, a lot of those advertisements that pop up on my Facebook, they're trying to sell me something, they're trying to get me to build that because that's how they do it. And I'm somebody who, again, I love to do a good job. I love to get the A plus. And a big sort of low point in my business was trying to like do it the way everybody is telling you to do it. But my email list is only this big, or I don't advertise on Facebook. And, you see those things that are telling you like, this is the master class. So I was taking all those free classes that usually end with like, now sign up for this class. And I just really went through this phase of being, felt like I was failing because I had different metrics for what I was supposed to be doing. So now I've dummied it down to just doing what my audience likes and doing the things that people are picking up and not really worrying about the rest of it.
I love it. Okay, so the next line of questions, this is something I do over at the Ladies That Lead Facebook group, and I love this. So I want a brag, a offer, and a need. Okay.
Cool.
So what are you proud of right now? What are some successes that you want to celebrate?
Yeah, I love this. So I'm not very good at shamelessly bragging about myself, but I guess I might never stop if I start. Well, I'm really proud of the fact that I've done thousands, and like I think I'm at like over 2,000 chart readings before. So, and I really feel, I think like I've only ever had bad feedback like once or twice, like knock on wood. And again, a lot of those people said, like one of those people said, well, I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube, so I know a lot about this. So that one didn't really count. But I honestly just feel like I'm really proud of the connection that I have to I guess there's a certain level of claircognizant, because when I sit down with a chart, I haven't prepared. If I do prepare, I trip myself out. I usually just sit down with a chart and start talking about the words that are popping into my head and the analogies that are popping into my head. So I'm pretty proud of the fact that never fails me. That never really, and for the most part, when it gets really like I don't understand what I'm saying, I'll ask the person I'm talking to, I'll say, is this making any sense to you? And it's always in those moments that it makes the most sense to them. Okay. So I'm pretty proud of the fact that I can just say something that makes no sense to me. I'm proud of the fact that I can keep my own voice of reason or logical mind from intervening, and instead just kind of let the words flow.
Yeah.
And again, I created my course with that same attitude. So I'm proud of my ability to disconnect from how what I say is being delivered, instead of trying to like figure out what it means for you. And so I'm very I think I'm a good balance of like, I'm going to be in all the little places of yourself, but I'm also very impersonal, as in I don't know that I'm there when I'm doing it. So it kind of gives people, I'm not intrusive. Let's say it that way.
I think that's the impression I got from you when we first spoke, and I was just like, this is flowing through her.
Yeah.
That's the only way I could describe it. And I gifted my mom a reading with you.
Yeah.
And my mom, like, she's like, does she know you? I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, she just knows. and our last reading, I think, I forget the exact words you were describing, but it kind of describes my passion project, that is the Ladies That Leads Facebook group.
Yeah, I did.
And I was like, this is amazing, because I'm going to ask her if she wants to be interviewed by it. Anyway, so it flows through you. Just flows through you.
Yeah. So thank you for giving me a space to brag.
Oh, you're more than welcome. What exactly would you offer? Like, what's your like elevator pitch?
Yeah. So again, I'm all about cultivating an energetic awareness. So when we have an awareness of which way these cosmic currents are flowing, again, I like to use the word cosmic to pull in the planets, but you can just think of them as currents of energy. Then we can have like a map of the trail, right? We can start to understand where we're walking. So that's really, but again, we obviously have collective energy. So there's a cool mix in what I do, because I do consider myself a cosmic meteorologist. So I do weekly forecasts, and I share and I do daily forecasts, and you can find me on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Instagram is where you'll get the most from me. And it's all Shannon HUGMAN across the board. So I do talk general forecasts. But if you want to know how you're going to experience that energy through the lens of your own individual chart, that's when you can sign up for a session with me at shannonhugman.com. And again, you just schedule right through my website. You can always email me if you need help, info@shannonhugman.com. But so it's like a cool little I offer is, the free content, which I love to do. I also blog for a website called The Master Shift. So I'm sharing like the general content, the weather forecasts. But again, for those of you who are going through something or who are feeling it, the readings, the one-on-one sessions I do can be whatever you want them to be. So if you have, really precise questions, like you're interviewing for a job, you want to get married to this person, you're looking for a date for your wedding, like you can get super specific. I have an intake form. You put everything in that you want to talk about, but people don't put anything, and we go from there too. So my elevator pitch is, come find me on social media, come find me online, and listen to just the free stuff I'm sharing. And if it resonates and you want to talk again one-on-one, come on over to my website and know that you can put whatever you want in there. There are literally no stupid questions, and specific questions are always really welcomed, and relationships too. So there's even a part that you can put in like your love interest relationship, birth date information, your child's. And then again, there's always the Art of Astrology Online Academy, which is only $25 on my website, and it's 4 modules. And basically, it teaches you everything I know, pretty much everything I know, including how to read relationships. So it's a cool stepping point too, because, honestly, I dream of a world where everybody can give themselves these readings, where everybody already knows this. I don't want to be the one to like hoard the information. I want to share it.
Share it out. Yeah. And your intention circles as well.
Yes, absolutely. So I also do, thank you. I also do online intention circles. So what those are is they're 60-minute broadcasts, private broadcasts. So they're $10. You sign up, you get a link emailed to you. And I do them for all different special astrological events. So I have one coming up on Tuesday. And what are we today? Are we Tuesday today? So a week today.
On the full moon. Yeah.
On the 29th. Yeah. And this one is all about the planet Uranus moving into Taurus. So this is a shift that happens every 7 years. So we're at the start of a new 7-year cycle. So basically in this intention circle, we'll come together. You don't come online. I come online, but we kind of create our little virtual circle, and I'll really get in depth as to what this means for the next 7 years. But also I break it down for each of the signs. So you'll get some personal information you can take. And then I also do Heart Speak Emotional Healing, which is an amazing healing modality. And which is basically just about using muscle testing to identify certain feelings that can be blocking us from embracing whatever this astrological cycle is bringing. So we just do it as a group, and it's just basically like a guided meditation. And we do that too. So the online intention circles are really fun because they give us all this information for our logical minds, but then we also do just this gentle, really easy emotional healing meditation. I know emotional healing can sound like, whoa, what is that? But it's literally just listen to me, breathe in and out. Like, it's really simple. Yeah, it's really easy. Not scary. And so we do all that. So, and then if you can't come live, that's okay, because you get the link to the recording emailed to you.
And I was just thinking, we're pre-recording this, so I'm going to be unfortunately posting this after the full moon.
That's all right. That's all right.
But what I love about your website is you constantly post what events are coming up. So
yes, exactly. We have an events tab, and I'm in Ontario, but I also do local events too. So I work at a local yoga studio. I'm in Godrich, Ontario. And then I do different like day retreats or different areas. So I've kind of been bopping all over in person too. So again, you can check out my events tab on my website, and you'll see all that online and offline events.
Perfect. And I'll share with everyone why I wanted a session with you. Essentially, like, the first session I got with you was in December, and I was really low energy. Like, my mind and emotions were like, yes, like just wanting to seize the day and do everything. And my physical body was like, no, like, and I was like, what is going on? And it was really neat talking to you, because you're like, you kind of explained what was going on with my energies, and don't worry, like in the new year. And it was the truth, right? So, and I just allowed myself to rest. I was almost like cultivating or something, or reflecting in that period, and I just needed to go into my winter and just rest. So that was the first reading. And the second reading I got, and I love, because I asked you, I'm like, so how do people do this? And you're like, well, like once a quarter, or when you get a new relationship or a new job, or you want any kind of insight. So the second one, I was really curious because I'm coming out of the winter and I feel my spring, and I'm just like, oh, I can see it, do you know? And I'm like, will she see the same thing? You did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, and I needed that universal nod from you, you know? And I was like, okay, that affirmation. And I was also in a newer relationship. So I was really curious about my own intuition about the newer relationship, and also, yeah, your read on the compatibility. So just a little insight for people who are like,
Yeah.
when to work with you, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
such
I feel like I'm sorry to interrupt you there. I feel like, again, I can be whatever. That doesn't sound so good, but it's like whatever you need from me is what I want to be. But also in a way where, I every time I say this, I think like my business mind says like, don't tell people this. What are they? But I like to say, I'll tell you something you probably already know, but something you already know so deep down, we can know it, but then it's not so easy to trust it, right? So my like incognito, I don't know I'm doing it. Again, I just say what pops into my head, but a lot of time what happens is I validate what people already know themselves, but then because they're hearing it from some random outlying place that it must be true, if the planets are doing it, it helps people validate and trust themselves, what they already know, because that's the hardest part of life, right, is trusting ourselves and trusting our feelings. So I think when it can be something, especially like the charts that I use are very mathematical based, there's a lot of science involved. So I think it's, it's like I'm biased because I love astrology, but it's better for me to look at a chart and see, okay, this planet is actually moving here than maybe pulling like a card, for example, or, having somebody who's feeling like a psychic feeling and tell that to me. Like that stuff's awesome too. If you're into it, I'm by no means like saying don't go do that. But for me, I'm someone who's very logical, someone who's very realistic. And so the fact that it's grounded in like actual celestial bodies, we can literally look at the moon and see that the moon is full, so maybe understand why we're feeling a certain way. But yeah, it's like whatever you need to know, whatever you want to talk about, we can do it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is important. Okay, what do you need? So somebody is watching this right now and they're like, yes, I want her message, I want her work, I want her to help more people. What do you need right now to get you to the next level and your business?
Well, two things pop into my head. So one is I just need engagement on social media. So this is something I will always need, and I think we all always need. But with social media platforms changing, like Facebook and Instagram, it's harder to be seen, especially when you're just, one woman show like me, and I'm sure like many of you watching. So honestly, even just a like is amazing, just a share is amazing. But even Instagram, I was reading something, and Instagram will also, the time that you spend looking at a post, even if you don't like the post, even if you don't comment on the post, if you stop your screen and you spend time on it, that's telling Instagram that you want to see more of it. So even just, I guess, just reading what I have, or reading what I'm sharing, or watching my stories that I do, the ones that expire at the top. And so for me, what I need is just interaction and engagement, because that's how my business has always grown, was through referrals, through word of mouth, through shares. And so it's not, I'm not saying if you have, very religious people in your life who are going to shun you if you share an astrology post, like, it's okay. You don't have to share, do what feels comfortable to you. But also that even just reading a post, but if you can like it, if you can comment on it, if you can screenshot it and share it, or even just share it through Facebook. I'm also pretty new to Twitter. So if you are on Twitter and you want to follow me, that would be amazing. And then the other thing that pops into my head is the project that I've been wanting to launch for a long time, which is a podcast. And I I think I'm just overthinking it. Like, it's one of those things on my to-do list that when I see it, I'm like, so maybe if you're out there and you know, like an app that's really easy to use for podcasts, or a way that's an easy, or even just a pep talk, like, Shannon, it's not that hard. That's kind of what I need too.
It's interesting because I don't know what it is, but I have a few coaching clients right now that are getting into podcasts. So I'm learning more about it. So once
Perfect.
I pass it on to you. Yeah. Cause it's great. It's a great medium to get the word out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love to talk. So I'm like, okay, I can talk forever. So,
yeah. So do it. Why not do it? Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So a question for you, and we might have already covered this, like what's working really, really well right now and what's not working so well right now?
So I just want to I by no means am affiliated with this program, but what's working really well is Acuity scheduling. That's the system I use. It's called Acuity. I pay $10 US a month for it, and it's embedded on my website, and it literally that's what the tool you use when you schedule is Acuity. So you click it, you pick your time zone, which is awesome. The time zone calculation is great. You pick your time zone, it processes your payments through Stripe, so it's really safe. And then it sends you an email to remind you. It sends me an email to remind me. It takes all the information. So what's working really well is Acuity. Or any scheduling system. I love Acuity because it's kind of like quirky and funny, and it has funny things, and they're always available to help. Because again, for years, how I ran my business was I would say, email me to book a session, email me. And it's, I think about myself. If I email someone and then the next day I'll be like, maybe not, we want to capture people when they are feeling it. And so I follow a lot of people who do sessions and things like that. And a lot of the time, I watch them saying, okay, email me or do this or do that. And I just think like, thank God I just say, go to my website, so for $10 a month, it's just amazing. It's working really, really well.
Yeah. So the money payment, the Stripe, is it?
Mm-hmm.
It's linked into Acuity?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I have a Stripe account, but you can link it to anyone. I think they give you like 5 different ones you can choose from if you wanted to do Square or, and then I also use Shopify too, for my course and my tangible products. So I sell like gift certificates or things like that. And that Shopify is amazing because you can upload the content so people can just download it directly. Yeah. So what's working for me is just these little ways that I can automate my business. Because I know we hear that, right? We want to automate our businesses, and it can feel so overwhelming, and it can feel like, how do I do that? But really, between Shopify and Acuity scheduling, I am like the happiest girl in the world. It really helps.
And I love this. And like, before we got on this interview, I'm like, can we share the how-tos? Because I think the hows, we can talk all we want about like what we're doing, but like the people coming up and like wanting to know how to put their passions out there in the world and their gifts is like, how? It's like the podcast.
Yeah,
Somebody reach out to Shannon who's already doing a podcast and let her know the hows.
Yeah. And also too, another thing that was working really well, that works really well for me, is to, when I get an idea, just put it out there. So like when I got an idea, people were asking me to do a course, and I was like, okay, I'm actually going to do it. I put it out there and people were interested. And then I figure out how to do it. Because for me, just kind of like is going on with this podcast, if I sit in the trying to figure out how to do it, I'll never do it. It'll never go out there. But for me, because I said, I'm doing this online class, and then people were signing up, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. Yeah. And I literally just, it was so easy. I was like, I have an iPad, and I found an app that makes ebooks. And so I had just built my whole course on this app that cost me like $6.99. And I recorded the videos with my MacBook. So I'm a big, I like to say I'm all about lo-fi, because I'm just going to do it how it can show up. Yeah. For the cheapest, for me, I would rather be able, I'm also about accessibility. Like, I want people to be able to access my class or to access my sessions. So I don't put myself at the highest price points, because that's just my angle that I take. But because of that, I can find ways to make it work with what's already happening. I'm a firm believer in we can do anything with an internet connection. And I'm biased, a MacBook, but maybe you can do a lot with PCs. I don't know. But with a MacBook, you can definitely do a lot. And again, that's an investment to make. But at the end of the day, it's like the hows will come together. They fall together. That's why I can feel like there's probably like a podcast app or something easy out there. I'm just waiting to find.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love that. Like I always stress progress over perfection.
Exactly.
And I remember Lewis Howes, that's actually how he got his like name out there, is he put on an offering of course that he didn't even have
Yeah.
yet, you know, and then he got all this money coming in. He's like, oh, I guess I'll have to make this course now. And even for myself, I was like dragging my heels of doing a workshop next week. I'm like, oh, I'll push it to next month. I'm like, no, you'll do it. I just put it on social like a couple hours ago and I have 4 people signed up. So
see, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to, because I think it's Elizabeth Gilbert in Big Magic says that perfectionism is fear in high heels. It's like this like fancy fear.
Yeah.
So now I always call that out in myself, because just put it out there, see what happens. You don't have to do it again if it didn't work, but I think you're probably going to want to do it again.
And a lot of this stuff like is jump right in, because you don't know until you do it, and then you're going to get the feedback. I say everything's a test, you know, so I'm testing things out and then I can modify. We can like revamp our stuff down the line, polish it up. So
exactly. And I think too, there's like, for me, like I said, I show up with what I have. Like now my video is better because I have a better computer, but when I made my course, yeah, it's kind of blurry. But I mean, at the end of the day, if somebody can buy that course for $20, are they going to care versus, you know, taking a really expensive course and it's really pretty and beautiful, but they're like, have a lot of expectations because it was expensive, you know? So I think it's better for me to just, but I mean, we all have our niches. We get to build our businesses as we want to. And for me, a big foundation has and always will be accessibility, and just being accessible to people. And I think it started because when I first started doing readings, I did them in my hometown of Brantford, Ontario, where there's not huge disposable income. And people aren't going to like even imagine paying like $300 for a reading like a lot of astrologers online charge. So I just charged my $40 a reading, and I would get so busy from that. So now my price has grown and now I'm at $75, but I still have people reach out to me all the time, tell me my prices are too low, I'm lowballing myself, I should charge at least $100. And I'm just like, I used to listen to them and then I would up my prices, and now I'm like, no, because my thing is accessibility, but yours could be something different too. And I think there's a certain, when we're in business and we're in these leadership roles, to really trust ourselves and stick to what we want to provide, because, you know, sure, my ego sees somebody else's really fancy, professionally built online class and I judge myself and my little, then at the end of the day, I'm like, but wait, my intention is accessibility and I can provide it for this price. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, the price point of the art of astrology is a no-brainer for me. And
yeah, exactly.
It gave me so much. So, you know, the value of the content is like massive, right? So love it.
Yeah.
I'm a little mindful of time because I know you have to run and do your thing. So I'll kind of fast forward. I love fun facts. So what's a fun fact about you, Shannon?
A fun fact. Well, my last name is HUGMAN, so I always use that as an excuse to hug people that I want to hug. So I love to go, like I'm a big music fan, so my partner and I, we always go to like rock concerts and things, and whenever I meet the musicians after, I always use that as my my line. I'll be like, my name's HUGMAN, and then they're like, let's just hug you. I always get to hug these people that I look up to. That's
I have like I love your last name. I'm like, that's a wicked last, like I'm that's amazing. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, fun fact. Yeah, I use it too. I use it as an opportunity to hug.
I would as well. Yeah. All right. And we'll wrap everything up by, I love thinking about the future. Okay. So if you think about yourself in 10 years time, what does that look like? What does your business look like? What are you excited to create?
Oh, I love that. So yeah, so really one of the ideas that, or an idea aspiration, is to have like take the art of astrology community, but evolve it more, where there's some sort of platform where we can be like a directory for people. So for example, having kind of like, I guess in a way, like have my little well, they wouldn't be my army, but an army of like energetic aware astrologers, so that, you know, if somebody joins the class and they're in London, Ontario, perhaps they could go online and say, oh, there's these astrologers in London, Ontario, and then meet up and connect, and maybe they want to do a reading, maybe they want it. So almost like a community resource for people who are communicating in this language. You know, and probably have like, you know, big events or retreats. I also definitely want to write some books, have some books published, which is again one of those things where I sat around and waited for a long time, but now self-publishing is way more appealing than I ever thought it would be. So that is hopefully going to come out soon. Well, soon, relatively soon. I'm not going to put any pressure on myself, but yeah, like I think just in like the long range would be really continuing to help people do this themselves, continuing, I mean, maybe I would still be available for one-on-ones, but I more really want to train people to take it out into the world, but from that perspective of reading ourselves, not having to like pay somebody to read us necessarily. But of course, that's I'm in the interim, I'm open and I love doing readings for people. I love connecting with people, but I'm just excited for like an army of energetically aware people all over the world who can connect, and a resource to connect them.
I love it. That's real good. That's amazing. Well, you let me know any way I can help you. And I'm going to post this in the Ladies That Lead Facebook group. I would love for you to be a consistent contributor to that group.
Absolutely.
More in that weekly forecast. I just love, so however you want to express yourself in that group, go nuts.
Thank you.
Offering. If you want to do any collabs, we can get you here in Collingwood and maybe get a little group together. You never know. You never know. So put that out there and see if people email me and see if we can get something like that going. And
amazing. Absolutely.
Also, something that I do, I've just started to put on my website. So I have, you know, about, and I have me, Jen. Then I'll have totally awesome friends of Jen. And so I'm going to be posting all these interviews and links and bio and things like that. So people can easily resource you in your page through my page, because they'll remember
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I look forward to, like, again, connecting with anybody watching this who wants to hear more. Like, feel free to comment or tag me in the comment. I always love reading comments and replying to comments as well. So yeah, thank you so much, Jen. And thank you to everybody who's watching.
Well, my pleasure, and you're amazing, and just keep on.
So are you.
You found your zone of genius. You're absolutely a master at what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. All right, we'll talk soon, I have a feeling. All right. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.